Hello and welcome to the National Debate. I'm Madhavdas G.K. Viewers, the deaths of over 270 people in the Air India AI-171 crash in Ahmedabad has served as a wake-up call for the entire country, from the frequent flyer to those running the aviation sector. The tragic accident was the first fatal accident of a Boeing Dreamliner, but this has certainly opened a can of worms and has raised serious questions about your safety in it. Are you really safe in the skies? While investigators are hunting for clues to solve the mystery around the AI-171 tragedy, many are asking whether the probe is being conducted as per global standards. The crash has also led to heightened safety regulations and precautions. This has led to multiple delays as well. We've also seen in just the last few weeks how multiple planes have had to make emergency landings due to technical snags. A DGCA audit has also red-flagged compromised safety standards in multiple airports. So the question we're asking is, who really is compromising your safety in the skies, and who should be held accountable when there is a big crash like this? For more on this, let's go across to our guest. Joining us from outside the studio, our Suhail Seth columnist. We also have with us Captain Amit Singh, who is of course an aviation expert and founder of Safety Matters. With us is Parvez Damania, former Executive Director of Kingfisher Airways. Also, of course, with us from outside, in fact, our Group Captain Aurobindo Handa, former DG of the AAIB and former Chairman of the Accident Investigation Group. Joining us from in the studio are J.S. Rawat, former Joint Director General of the DGCA, Dr. Sumit Sushilan, who's an aviation expert. With us is Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastava. Aviation expert also with us is B.S. Sivach, Director General of Aviation Safety India, right here in our studio. So all of our panelists are going to analyze this. So let's get down to the first debating point that we have as far as today's national debate is concerned. This is what we're talking about in terms of the document that Times Now has reported widely on yesterday. The International Civil Aviation Organization has reached out to the Indian government. They've said that, look here, we want to be part of the probe. The questions that then are arising out of this is that, was ICAO not allowed to join the AI-171 probe? Why is it? And what was the reason that the Global Aviation Watchdog, which is under the aegis of the United Nations, was not allowed to do so? Are non-US and non-India entities being barred? There is, of course, the NTSB, as we all know, is from the US, which is very much part of this entire probe as well. There's also the question about why the lead investigator was not appointed about 2 weeks into the probe. Why has that not happened? Why has this delay, and how much has this affected the quality of the probe is certainly a relevant question that is being asked. There's also, of course, other questions that we're looking at. If you can quickly get in fact, as far as the global aviation bodies' requests being declined are concerned, in fact, the entire crash probe itself is concerned, various questions that are being asked for. And in fact, the response is that the global aviation body's request was declined. This is what government sources are telling us, because ICAO wanted that the UN investigator to be the observer, and going further, the Indian government is firm that there will be no external involvement. India wants to conduct the probe independently. Questions, of course, about the technical prowess, etc. are there. And let's quickly open this up for debate in terms of our panelists over here. Let me begin with you first, Mr. J.S. Rawat. How well equipped are we? We are the third largest aviation market in the world. But when it comes to the investigation, this is highly specialized. There are specific aircraft which require certain amount of, certain equipment to analyze the black box. Are we technically sufficient or proficient to actually carry out such a probe? Because there was talk that we need to take this to the US a few weeks earlier.
Okay, as far as this investigation is concerned, investigation was a soaring point between the ICAO and India, because we had so many drawbacks in the investigation system earlier, because DGCA was doing their investigation earlier, and there was a point raised by the ICAO that independence is not there, and many of the provision of the Annex 13, which are required to be legislated, they were not there. So this was happening. Then after that, ultimately 2017, we had established the AIB, as well as we introduced the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau rules, which covers all the parts of the Annex 13 which are required to be done by the state. As far as our capability of carrying out the investigation is concerned, after the investigation capability is there, after formation of the AIB, so many experts were given the training on how to carry out the investigation. And in fact, a whole lot of experts from the industry, from all the fields, you called about the air traffic control, flight operations, maintenance and all this. they were trained by the AIB through the French Aviation Authority. So, and the separate pool was created who were capable of doing the investigation. So those things were there. As far as that carrying out the decoding of the FDR or CVR is concerned, that facility already existing in the country. And I have recently heard in the newspaper that it was established in the AIB also.
Right.
So there was no question that facilities were not there. We were having the capability as per the manpower as well as and also in terms of the equipment.
Right. And you know, Mr. Siwach, if you look at the kind of letter that has been written by ICAO, they talk about having, you know, a probe that is above board. Technical expertise is one thing. They also talk about, you know, having the kind of probe where, you know, it would be completely unbiased given that it's an international regulator. Is that a fair comment coming in from the ICAO?
Yeah, ICAO is the apex body of aviation operation around the world. The investigation is carried out as per Annex 13. In that it is very clearly specified who all should be carrying out the investigation, who all should be participating in the investigation. The investigation of an accident occurring in India had to be carried out by investigation authorities of India, that is AIB. Now we are also required to invite the participation of the country which has designed the aircraft, country which has manufactured the aircraft. So all these people are supposed to be part of the investigation. ICAO actually has got no role because they already delegated, and it has been clearly made very clear in Annex 13. Now ICAO, if they are
why have they written this letter then, do you feel?
No. ICAO, if they are asking that they would like to be part of this investigation, our government must have considered various facts. They are not sort of defying ICAO. They are they definitely have been cooperating. They are a very important body. You can't just sort of, you know, outright and defy them. But at the same time, we have very capable people. We have very competent investigators. And I see no reason. But if ICAO wants to be an observer, maybe they can be considered. There's nothing wrong because they have got more exposure, more expertise.
Okay, let me bring in Captain Amit Singh on that. Captain Amit Singh, we have the technical competence here in India. The rules are very clear as to who has to carry out the investigation. It's very, very clear. The two previous panelists say that there is no role of ICAO as far as the domestic investigation is concerned. Do you agree with them?
So ICAO, as said earlier, is the apex body. So they make all the standards around the world, Annex 13, which is derived from Article 26, which is the Chicago Convention, to which India is a signatory. So it is incumbent upon India to institute an inquiry into the accident, which so far has not been done. So a number of events which are supposed to be carried out post an accident, like immediately the investigation has to begin, gathering of evidence, which is being done, the downloading of DEFTR and CVR. So those parts are okay. But looking at the structure, overall structure, in the last audit carried out by ICAO, under the US OAP, the Universal Safety Oversight provision, the program, AIB was not audited for some reason. And if you see the report, one of the points in the report was number of accidents in the last 5 years. This was in 2022. And the report says 0, which means there was some data issue which was not being provided to ICAO. So ICAO wants to come in as an observer, which there is a provision in Annex 13. So you have certain interested parties, which can contribute towards a better standard of investigation. So I don't think there's an issue if ICAO is rightfully concerned about the transparency of the investigation.
Okay. Dr. Sushilan, do you agree with that? There is no problem if ICAO is concerned about the investigation, and it has reasons to be concerned. We know that several years ago, they had a problem with DGCA's own status. There was a downgrading. Then, of course, there was a lot of concerted efforts and changes. Then there was an upgrading. So ICAO has an important role to play when it comes to the larger aviation scene.
I do agree for the participation of ICAO, because definitely that is the first body, and the people who are got trained in India, even in the DGCA, they are got trained from the ICAO teams, you know, so for the Aircraft Investigation Bureau, because we don't have a frequent accidents happening. But this ICAO team are expert in doing the research and doing the test on all these things. And I think that the OEMs are based of US, so somewhere they can be observer, because the Boeing manufacturer are from America. And the ICAO is also coming from America. Definitely, our Indian team should be there always with them. So that's what my point is, that yes, ICAO team should be there, but only as an observer, not to do the solution for this.
Right. Let me bring in Suhail Seth on that. Suhail Seth, what do you make of this? Because, there are obviously going to be concerns. There are big corporate interests, leave alone our Indian corporates, but, corporates like Boeing, who wield a tremendous amount of influence, and Boeing is already under the scanner for several of its jets about whether it has sacrificed profitability, sacrifice safety at the altar of profitability. I mean, that's been something that's an open debate in the United States. So shouldn't there be a transparent probe that's up to global standards, is a question that comes to mind in this context. Suhail Seth.
So let me play back something to you. Amit Singh said, ICAO should be there, blah, 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 America interest, blah. Fair. If you send this to America, people will say Boeing has influenced the investigation. You do it in India, people say, you're not following. The gentleman, who just spoke before me, made the most valid point. That yes, you have the capabilities. The first speaker, I don't remember his name, who gave all the facts and how people were trained. I think India has enough capability. Because that gentleman said that India did, and that people were trained. The other gentleman said, people were trained under ICAO. So I don't see where this whole song and dance is. B, an investigation is underway. Okay, quoting 2022, 2020, I can quote 1947. It's stupid, it's illogical. The reality is as follows. An accident occurred on June the 12th. A process has been set underway. In that process, 3 stakeholders are involved. The government of India, because it has to care for its citizens and its aviation ecosystem. The company which ran the airline, which is Air India, and the third is the manufacturer, which is Boeing. All 3 parties, in some form or the other, are involved. NTSB people are involved in the investigation or the decoding or whatever. I don't see what the issue is. The problem, Madhav, is we have too many goddamn conspiracy theorists in our country who are willing to find fault with everything we do. We are the capital of the world in digitization. We have great software prowess. We have some of the finest minds in this country, whether you look at engineering, whether you look at aviation. Suddenly you don't want to trust anything that's Indian. Suddenly you want to say, no, I don't trust my country. I don't trust, our investigation. The first speaker actually made the most valid points. He said that there is a process to weigh in the manner in which an investigation is done. The investigation, for God's sake, is underway. Don't pronounce operation successful, patient dead yet. Let the investigation happen. Why are we, and something, Madhav, by this constant nonsense that I'm seeing and this drivel, who are you harming the most? You're harming the families of those who've lost their loved ones. Because you're continuing to stoke fires of conspiracy, you're continuing to stoke fires of inefficiency, and most importantly, you're suggesting that people involved in this are behaving irresponsibly. The gravest injustice you are doing to the people, the brave men and women who were part of the crew, from the commander to the first officer to the flight attendants, as well as to the families of those who've lost their loved ones.
Let Captain Amit Singh answer that. Captain Amit Singh, are we doing injustice to the families of the victims by raising questions about the process and the procedure? Direct question from Suhail Seth. Respond to that.
Yeah, this can be a very good political speech. But again, without facts.
There's something called logic.
There is an annex 30.
Okay, one by one. We will both have plenty of time. There's plenty of time on today's debate. Both of you can go. Yeah.
You know me longer than anyone. You pass a stupid comment, you will get a reply.
Okay, let him. No, Captain Amit Singh also knows a thing or two about aviation. Let's go. Let's not get personal. Let's not get personal. Gentlemen, this is much too serious an issue. Let's not get personal. This is a technical area.
Who started personal? Who started personal?
Yeah, okay.
Don't
Let's
ever
not
say-
get. Yes, I agree. Let's calm down for just a
I can
moment.
slam you.
You both have a lot of domain experience in what you both do. Let's go one by one. There are other panelists who are experts also over here. Let's listen to all of them. We have somebody from the AIB itself. Let's go one by one, please. I'm requesting. You're wasting our viewers' time. Let's not do this. Captain Amit Singh, your response to the points that have been made by Suhail Seth. Yeah.
Let's put out facts that we have a procedure laid down as per Annex 13, which we all agree. But is it being followed? No, it's not being followed. Let me update my good friend. So first thing, like I said, an investigation has to be instituted. It has not been instituted. Who is the head of the chief investigator? Has the chief investigator been named? No. Where is the team? The team is not there. Who are the parties involved? Certainly, let me correct them. Air India is not a party because Air India will be investigated. DGCA will be investigated. So it is AIB, which is not a truly independent organization. It is a statutory body, but in the same act, it is written that it is an attached office to the MOCA. If your promotion and appointments are coming from MOCA, there is no independence. Same is with DGCA. Now, we talk about US. In US, the NTSB reports to the Congress. That is independence. They have financial independence. And it is a open, the investigation is open door. In India, the Act says it will be a closed door.
Okay.
So we have to ask, the public has to ask questions. And daily, the families under the Family Assistance Act have to be briefed on the progress of the investigation because they want to know what happened and why it happened.
Okay. Is there any delay on the timelines though? Amit Singh, is there any delay on the timelines at the moment?
We don't have a chief investigator. So once the chief investigator is appointed and the team is appointed, there is no pilot in the Press Information Bureau release. There is no pilot, there is no airworthiness person. These are the two most important people.
Okay,
so
I'm going to go with that point. Two questions there, Suhail. I'm going to take this across to Mr. Handa as well. But Suhail, since you were, of course, sparring with him, 2 points. He says that A, there's no lead investigator appointed, and B, why can't we have an open and transparent investigation like it's there in the United States? 2 points. Suhail, would you like to answer that?
The investigation has only begun. The decoding of the black boxes began day before yesterday on June the 25th. We are today on June the 27th. It is not incumbent on the AIB or any statutory body to inform Amit Singh, Parvez Damania, Mr. Handa and the entire 1.4 billion people as to a minute-by-minute progress. B, the logic is very, very defeatist because all I'm saying is an investigation is underway. The fact that the decoding has begun is a part of the investigation. I'm saying for the sake of the families and their victims, to hell with me, to hell with Amit Singh, to hell with Parvez, for their sake, do not cast aspersions on the credibility of Indian capability. AB.
No, nobody's questioning. Nobody's.
I haven't finished.
Yeah.
His other point is self-defeating. The NTSB reports to the Senate, to the Congress. Is Congress apolitical? No. Tomorrow, if the Supreme Court judge passes a judgment against me, I will say, oh, it's political because the judges have been appointed or approved by the government. I mean, the logic is self-defeating. I sometimes worry about the level of intellectual innocence we inject into our logic capabilities on simple matters. The only person who's actually run and founded an airline amongst all of us is Parvez Damania. Ask Parvez if he agrees with the line of thinking in the context of the families. Okay. I'm not bothered about any one of us. Okay. I'm only concerned about the families.
Let me take this across to Parvez then. Parvez, your response to that, are we, in terms of our regulatory environment, there are questions that have been made and perhaps Captain Amit Singh has some pertinent questions, but in today's context, we are 2 weeks into the crash. Are we any the wiser as to what has happened? And there are questions as to why a lead investigator has not yet been appointed. Why did it take us almost 12 days to start, reading from the black box? Because aviation requires, quick answers and quick resolution as to, for all of those families to know what has happened, and also for the larger environment, in case there are technical flaws, for instance, in the Dreamliner, then everyone across the world should know it.
Okay. First of all, I agree with Suhail on each and every point. Suhail was completely clear, and we cannot hurry this kind of issue up. We are not here to please anybody or impress anybody. The investigation will take time and investigation will follow its process. As far as India is concerned, we are more than capable of handling this investigation. This is a process that will take time, and we must give the process time. We need very accurate and real results. Now, as far as the thing is concerned, the three parties are involved as one, Government of India, second, Air India, and third is Boeing. I think all these three parties want the real results and the cause of the crash. What has happened is very, very tragic, and there is no sense in anybody hiding the results. Why should they? Boeing would like to know if there's a problem with the aircraft. Air India would like to know if there is a problem with the management, and government would like to know the reason. So these kind of problems cannot occur again. The government of India has been extremely proactive. The DGCA has moved in very fast, and the Accident Investigation Board is doing its job. I don't think anybody is deliberately delaying this probe. Everybody is doing a fine job. We should give people time and understanding and just not come up with crazy theories. Everybody comes up with theories. There can be no theory. Only the accurate results of the cockpit voice recorder and the black box can give us the true result. So I think we just need to wait and watch. Let the government do its job. There is no advantage in anybody hiding anything.
Okay, there's
if
no advantage
wants
in anyone
to
hiding
support
anything.
the investigation, they shouldn't be allowed.
Okay. Okay. Let me bring in Mr. Handa. Mr. Handa, would
How
you like
will it
to...
help anybody? If there's a problem with the aircraft, Boeing would like to know.
Yeah, but then there are questions. There are questions whether Boeing has compromised certain standards. Those are also out there in the public domain. Let me bring in Mr. Aurobindo Handa, and then I'm coming to Vice Marshal. Mr. Aurobindo Handa, would you like to respond to those questions? Why has there been no lead investigator established yet? And there are questions about whether there is adequate prowess to actually probe this, and who should be part of this probe.
Madhav, Jai Hind to everybody. Let me begin with the thing that India is a sovereign country, as Sohail has said. We have it is not incumbent on a sovereign country to follow an annex in as we will say ditto or verbatim. So accordingly, the AIB rules which were framed in 2012, much before I took over as DG in 2018. There were wise people who had put their minds together, and whatever Captain Amit Singh is contending, it is not a part of AIB rules. So the matter finishes there. India is a sovereign country. We will follow AIB rules, and we will follow that act. Period. Now coming down to the questions that why the lead investigator has not been appointed or whatever, I do not agree with this also. This process has to go through various clearances, which Captain Amit Singh perhaps may not aware. I want to ask everyone here, I opened 90 investigations during my tenure, 90, and closed 105 investigations, including the Calicut one. Mr. Rawat is a very, very senior colleague of mine, which Sohail sitting here has also, he doesn't know his name, but he says he has spoken the sense, because they were the guys who made AIB rules in 2012. Now coming down, we become experts without having undertaken a single investigation in our life. And we become armchair critics and start speaking bad about our country, whether it is DGCA, it is AIB or whatever. I write it on this thing that AIB and DGCA, they are capable of conducting this investigation, not from today, right from 1985 or onwards. There have been so many fatals which have happened. As a country, there is enough expertise available in us, in our country. Available. Okay. Period. Okay. So, and coming down to ICAO, stating that we will take part, ours is a country, a government of India has taken a right step. Had I been the DG at that point of time, I would have said so. Okay. Who are you? Okay.
No, everyone has a
right to their opinion. It is not incumbent on me. If we are signatory to ICAO,
you've been in government, sir, he's outside government. We need all shades of expert opinion, but let me quickly bring in Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastava before I come back to you. Captain Amit Singh, I know there are a lot of questions that you want to answer, but Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastava has not yet spoken. Your response, sir, to this.
So, Madhav, I have been in many aircraft accidents, of course, in Indian Air Force, and I agree with one point that including the OEM, that is Boeing in this case, Government of India, and AIB, they'll be interested in finding out what's wrong. Because it's something which is flying. There are 1,200 aircraft like this all over the world, and everyone wants to know what happened, why it happened, and that is a very important thing. So nobody would be actually trying to do something which can be hidden or which is hideous. Point number one. Second thing, technical sovereignty of India. Why do you think we are not competent? We are competent, we can do the job, and there's no problem about it. There's a protocol, there's a process set up by ICAO, and we are following that. ICAO can point out where did you go wrong. Okay, you're not doing this, you should have done this. That has not been given. A generic comment has been passed, and they want to become the partner. As an oversight, I think that is permitted. If they want to come and be an observer, that's great. The second part is that we will follow it up and let the rule-based investigation take place. And if it takes a little time, it's good for us to know the right cause, not jump into anything. Jumping would be a mistake. Not following the procedure would be a mistake. And handing over your sovereignty and trying to bring about country on a global platform that we don't know what aviation is, we can't handle aviation, we have lot of systematic failure, is going to cause a lot of this thing. And why we say the ICAO is not biased? It can be biased. It lives in a country where the Boeing has come from. Boeing would like to protect its own case. So
ICAO is in Montreal actually. ICAO is in Montreal.
Yeah. So what we're saying, they have the Boeing infrastructure coming from there. So what will happen? People would like to do a kind of bias report, but I accept as on today that there will be no bias reporting. The process must take place.
You believe that the process is going to take place and it's going to be above board. Captain Amit Singh, quick response to those charges.
Look, I'm trying to educate these already educated people. I've listed down the process, the protocol, and nobody has touched upon the genesis, which is the Chicago Convention. The senior DG himself has contradicted himself and shown that he's ignorant of the rules. Let me tell everybody that India is a signatory to the Chicago Convention. Article 38 says that India shall follow all the articles and the regulations which they have signed for. If there are any differences, the differences will be filed and put out in the AIP, Aeronautical Information Publication. India has filed nil differences as far as Annex 13 is concerned. ICAO also further down says that if you do not file differences, and there are differences between your regulation and ICAO Annex 13, those are audit findings, which means you have to comply with them. For example, if you have to put out a preliminary report, which was not being done in the past few accidents, major accidents, Calicut, there was no preliminary report in 30 days. So that 30 days and the preliminary report is mandatory, and that is a finding. We try to go as per the Indian Act. Whatever is missing and the differences have to be filled up unless you say or inform all the 193 member nations that these are the differences we will not be following. So that is the point of clarity and the protocol. Everybody says, and I also agree, that we are capable, but at least follow the protocol. That is what I'm saying.
Okay, there's no question of our capability. It's about us following the protocol or not. Mr. Handa, you want to respond to that?
I do not agree with this. What he has now come out is that yes, we have to file a difference. This is the thing, and when 2012, I am not aware that when 2012 that rules were formed. Mr. Rawat will be able to better tell us, and otherwise Mr. Chopra is there, Arun Chopra, who were the, I would say, the writers of this AIB rules. So they will be better informed. You can ask Mr. Rawat about the difference. But I go by this. Whatever now one more clarification. One more clarification I want to give. Captain Amit Singh keeps talking about preliminary report. I want to clarify that there is something called preliminary investigation report and preliminary report. In our AIB rules, it is written preliminary report, which is there, which we detail a person to go to the crash site and tell us what has happened, based on which AIB takes a call whether this occurrence is a incident, serious incident or accident. And then accordingly we move on. He is mentioning about, he is always confused about preliminary investigation report and preliminary report.
Okay.
Our AIB rules do not say anything about preliminary investigation report, which is to be given, which is a part of Annex 13. I agree.
Mr. Rawat and many of us are quite amused because this appears to be a sparring match between the two of you, Mr. Handa and Captain Amit Singh. But let me bring in Mr. Rawat before I go across to Captain Amit Singh. What is exactly the rule? Because this is now thoroughly confusing. It's becoming entirely technical. Can you just explain this in layman terms for all of us, Mr. Rawat? Who's right in this debate?
Because first, in my first statement, I have told about the establishment of the AIB. Okay, that everything was there, manpower was there. But what is the situation today, as on today? There is a protocol that, and it is written in our rules also, that we have to carry out the investigation. How the investigation is carried out? If I am the appointed investigator today, and if I go to the site after 10-15 days, what I will collect there? What I will get there? What evidence I will get there? So the first thing is that investigator has to be appointed, whosoever the investigator is there. Now today we are having the situation that NTSB and other people are there. They are also doing some their preliminary investigation on the site, examining the parts and other things like that. But whom they are reporting? Correct. If the investigator had been appointed, then they will discuss with them. Oh, these are the things we have to carry out the investigation in this direction. This is our finding. Whatever the discussion they have to take place to come to the cause. The ICAO says, our Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau rules, they don't have the provision for the preliminary report. Okay. But the ICAO has provision, which is a recommendation, which has not been brought in our rules, which very clearly says any accident of significant concern, which requires the public attention, the information has to be given to the public as soon as possible. Right. As early as possible, within few days, not that days are not defined. And the preliminary report, investigation report, has to be, in such cases where the public demand is there, public concern is there, it has to be done within 30 days. Right. So preliminary report, what the preliminary report will concern? The basic analysis of the thing, what are the primary cause of the thing, and what are the safety recommendations. Right. It will also give the assurance to the government or AIB that investigation will be henceforth will carry it in this direction. Because suppose we say that established tomorrow that engine failure was there. Right. So the preliminary report will say that this is a preliminary finding and investigation has to go into that. You're saying that even though it's not there in the rules, this is something that is desirable in the interest of aviation safety. Yes. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Right. And many countries are having the preliminary report as a mandatory requirement for them. Right. So Parvez Damania, why shouldn't we have this preliminary report? Mr. Rawat, who Mr. Handa was praising, is now coming out to say that we should have such a preliminary report, especially when there's such a huge amount of public outcry, and this has huge impact because there are about 1,200 such aircraft flying across the globe. Parvez Damania.
Madhav, let me come in. Let me come in.
Absolutely, there should be a preliminary report.
Mr.
Handa, I'm coming to you. Just coming one by one. Let others also come into this debate, please. Just coming to you, one by one. Yeah. Mr. Damania, go ahead.
See, this preliminary report is this preliminary report is very, very important because based on the preliminary report, the AIB will decide what level of investigation should be done. Is this an investigation? Is this an incident, accident? So the preliminary report is a must. No, everything will be based upon this preliminary report. Okay. So this is a must, absolutely, I think.
So, well, Sir, would like to respond to that because, you know, even Mr. Parvez Damania says this preliminary report is desirable, particularly when it comes to such a high-profile case. Unfortunately, in this case, if the analysis has just started 2 days ago, we certainly will not be or it's highly unlikely that we'll be able to meet the 30-day deadline.
I want to sum up because, you know, we can't go on and on. 3 issues have been raised. Amit has raised an issue that A, are we equipped? Oblique, are we following protocols? He has raised an issue related to preliminary report versus preliminary investigation report, correct? Mr. Handa has said that to his understanding, the preliminary report, oblique preliminary investigation report is a sovereign decision, which Mr. Rawat has confirmed. The most important point is the 30-day period the public should be made aware. The horrific crash happened on June the 12th. 30 days will be July the 12th. The investigation has begun by the decoding process itself. All I'm saying is, let's be responsible and let's not shoot the messenger. Okay. Let's be mindful of the fact that there are families who are grieving, a nation is in shock, and we will undermine everything we hold dear, from our sovereignty, from our technical expertise to our brave people who fly planes every day, as well as the aviation ecosystem. Let's not throw the baby with the bathwater. Give an investigation time, because the flip side is the same Amit, and he is absolutely right. Let's imagine the investigation report was out in 3 days. The same Amit Singh would have said, they haven't gone deep down. I would have said it. Give it time. There's a process. We must follow the process.
Okay.
If, when the process is revealed, and Amit Singh and his, ilk of experts, all his, the real experts believe that no, it wasn't followed, fine, have another debate. Madhav has all the time, and Times Now has all the TRPs.
Okay. Dr. Subhash Sushilan, do you agree with that contention?
Yeah, I do definitely agree with that point, yes.
That there should be time given. There's no need for a hurry.
The government already had given a notice that within 3 months they'll come up with the report on that. So why we are getting into we should give a time to the authorities to go for a check, because it's a very big incident. They can't come up with a wrong information for the public.
Obviously, we can't come up with the wrong information, but have we taken too much time is also a question. Mr. Sivach, yeah.
You see, the moment an accident takes place, AIB sends a team to carry out to prepare a preliminary report. The purpose of the preliminary report is to classify an accident, to classify an occurrence, whether accident, serious incident, or incident. So this has already been done by the AIB. AIB team has been involved from the day one. It's not correct that 10, 12 days you delay and nothing will be found. From the day one, the team has been there. They have collected evidence.
But why no lead investigator then? Why no lead investigator?
No, lead investigator, there will be still a team leader. Maybe notification is delayed, but you can't say that there's nobody heading that team. There is a team leader whom will be interacting with various agencies.
Okay. So is that the case? Mr. Handa can tell us, because he's been in the AIB. Mr. Handa, is there a lead investigator currently or not? And what happens in the absence of a lead investigator?
Let me speak. I want to speak on one issue. The issue is I will not take the name of the journalist in a print media. He wrote that the recorders have been sent to USA about 3 days back. Honorable Cabinet Minister, he was in a seminar. He had to tell that the recorders are very much in India. And yesterday or day before, AIB through PIB, they have given a press release sort of a thing in which they said the recorders are very much under our custody. So this is one issue. So let us not jump to the conclusion. And what Suhail has said, and one worthy colleague of mine, I'm not getting his name. The issue is, we will, whether it is preliminary investigation report or whatever, let's not go by the name. The enormity of this accident, I am sure AIB through PIB will be coming out with some interim updates for the grieving people.
Okay. Let's hope that happens.
Now coming down to the last point, we are all sitting here, and we are sitting here. No, it happened. About the recorders, there was a press release.
Yes, I'm aware. Yes, we are all aware of that report. Yeah.
Now coming back to coming about the investigators, I don't know why we people are wanting that we should be revealed the names. I am giving you a hint that these names have to go through clearance. Please understand. I'll finish at this. The people who want to understand what I mean, I won't go further than this.
Okay.
All the investigators who will be a part of this, they have to go through a particular clearance procedure.
Okay.
Period.
Yes, Marshal, what does this mean?
Rest
Explain
assured.
it to us, because I'm not understanding.
The team is already in place.
He's speaking in certain language, which obviously he has certain constraints. I'm sure you don't have that.
What he's saying is absolutely right. He's saying that the whole team, including the chief investigator, has to go through a kind of clearance where it knows what are his biases. Is he getting something from some kind of systems, or is he employee of somebody, or he's some way hyphenated to some system? Idea being that you want independent and cleared investigators, and that is a must. And his sense of the matter, because he's been in that organization, is that the list is already out. We have not crossed the limit of 30 days. That I agree with Suhail. That's right. And what I said in the first go, let's wait, because all the bodies who are involved in this are very powerful bodies. We should give
adequate time,
and they have influences. So if you want an independent inquiry, but I'm pretty sure everybody is keen to know why it happened, because that's a win-win situation.
Okay. Captain Amit Singh now, after long last, there are many opinions you would have heard. Captain Amit Singh, should we be a little more patient? Should we perhaps wait for the 30-day period for the government and the investigators to come out with what's happening?
Of course, that is a protocol. So there are no two ways about it. We have to wait for the 30-day period, because in the past, we haven't got such reports. In the past, if you see Mangalore accident, the recommendations have not been implemented. Calicut accident, implementations have not been done. The runway is still unsafe. The safety margins are not there. So we're looking at the past, I'm saying, this is what our trend has been. So it is incumbent that we ask pertinent questions at this time.
Okay.
That is what basically I'm doing. And I'm not casting aspersions on the investigation team. I said it has to be transparent. The first thing in transparency is to reveal the names. So if you can reveal the names of the high power committee who can miraculously produce a technical report in 3 months without a technical member. So I'm
is that
sure.
Really true? Is that really true, Mr. Rawat? There's no technical member, because that's quite a serious charge he's leveling. Is that correct?
So far what happens, so far what we have heard, there is no technical person involved in the investigation.
Okay. So it's a valid concern?
I just want to say that we are hearing from the last 2 days that ICAO has offered that they will provide assistance to India. Basically, ICAO does not say that, because they say the diplomatic language. They will not say that you are not doing the right thing.
Correct.
They will say, okay, because we feel that we will provide you assistance. Basically, I want to, if you have to decipher this this invitation from there that we want to assist India, that they feel that you are not doing the job properly.
Okay.
You are
That's
not
a very serious charge.
You are not doing the job as per the standards and rules made by you.
Okay. It might be called respectful recommendations, but Mr. Rawat says, Parvez Damania, that it could be an indictment about whether we are following our rules to the T or not. Mr. Damania.
I believe that India is absolutely capable. We are going to do a good job, and we will come to the results, and the people will come to know the truth. Why should India? There is no reason for India or any organization, may it be Air India, may it be Tata's, may it be DGCA, or also Boeing, to hide. Everybody wants to know the truth, because only in the truth it's a win-win situation for everybody. If Boeing knows where the problem is, they can correct it. If Tata knows, Air India knows they slipped up in some kind of maintenance, they can correct it. And also the DGCA, so I don't think anybody's going to hide anything. We should give people time.
Yeah, and I was told that even Boeing and Air India do get some amount of data when the aircraft is in air, and perhaps they should also be part of this investigation to that extent. We'll have to wrap it up here. Suhail Seth, JS Rawat, Dr. Sumit Sushil, and Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastav, Group Captain Arvind Handa, Captain Amit Singh, Parvez Damania, and B.S. Siwaj. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us on this edition of the National Debate.